You ever find yourself caught in one of those relationships that just feels like a total emotional roller coaster? You know the one. One minute, you're the center of their universe, and the next, you're just left in this cold, confusing silence, wondering what on earth you did wrong. It's painful. It's exhausting. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this exact dynamic.
I mean, that's the question, isn't it? The one that just eats at you. Why do they pull you in so intensely, make you feel everything, and then just disappear, leaving you feeling totally discarded and just desperate for that connection you had 5 minutes ago? Well, let me tell you, it is not random, and it is absolutely not your fault. There's a pattern here.
Okay, so think about it like this. This analogy from Chris Reese really hits home. This isn't about you not being a good enough handyman or not trying hard enough. The thing is, you were trying to cross a bridge that was it was built to fail. The constant breaking down, that wasn't a sign of your failure. It was proof of the bridge's design. You were never, ever meant to fix it.
So, okay, if it's not you, then what in the world is going on? Well, this whole push-pull thing, it's not just some chaotic mess. It's actually a known psychological mechanism, a cycle that's designed to create this powerful, invisible addiction. Let's really break down how it works.
First thing we got to talk about is something called a trauma bond. This is this incredibly deep emotional connection that gets forged in the fire of this exact cycle. It's built on these wild swings, from intense highs, the love bombing, the affection, straight into these crushing lows, like being ignored or treated cruelly.
And this is where it gets so twisted. The trauma bond totally messes with your head. You feel this intense connection, right? You think, I can't live without them. But here's the hard truth. That's not love. It's a psychological addiction. Your brain literally becomes hooked on the very person who's causing you all the pain.
And what's the engine driving this whole addiction? It's a concept called intermittent reinforcement. Basically, it's when they give you these little breadcrumbs of affection, a nice comment, a sweet look, but it's completely unpredictable. You never know when it's coming. And that unpredictability makes you forget or at least override all the consistent bad stuff because your brain is just desperately focused on getting that rare, tiny reward.
And this feeling, it's so real. It's just like Chris Reese says here, you're hooked. You're like a gambler at a slot machine. So you put up with all the nonsense, all the pain, because you just know that eventually that little dopamine hit of affection is coming again. It keeps you chained to the game. Okay, so now we get how the cycle works. But the big question is why? Why do they do this? And this is where we have to get really clear. It has nothing to do with love or them being confused. The real motive? It's much colder. It's all about control. And this is the key takeaway right here. This was never about them loving you 1 minute and not the next. No, it was all about them trying to regulate their own chaotic inner world. They don't get into relationships for connection. They get into them to find an outside source to manage their own feelings.
And this quote, this really gets to the absolute core of it. Under all that charm, all that bravado, is this terrifying, deep-seated fear. They're absolutely petrified of being truly seen for who they are. And you, with your ability to actually connect with someone, you were probably the biggest threat to that secret they'd ever encountered. And when you understand that, it just reframes everything, doesn't it? You weren't a partner they wanted to build a life with. You were a function, a utility. Your reactions, good or bad, your happiness, your sadness, you chasing after them, all of it was just supply. It was fuel for their ego, proof that they exist and have an impact on the world.
And this slide right here, this is the moment where it all clicks. When they came back, you hoped they missed you. But really, they were just testing if you were still on the hook. You thought they felt regret for hurting you. In reality, they felt the panic of being unseen, of losing their supply. You saw it as a second chance for love. For them, it was just an attempt to plug back into their power source. So this whole act of sucking you back in, it actually has a name. It's called hoovering. And please hear this. When they come back, it is not a reunion. It's a test. It's a calculated move to see if you're still under their spell. And you know what? The strategy is so predictable once you see it. First, the silence, right? It's designed to make you feel anxious, to make you question everything. Then comes the carrot, that little text, that remember when photo. It's not about connection, it's a probe. They're just gauging your response, seeing if you'll bite. And if you do, boom, they know they've got you and they can pull you right back into that same soul-crushing cycle. So, seeing this pattern, that's huge. That's the first step. But how do you really break free for good? Listen, the answer isn't to try and outsmart them or play their game better. No way. It's about flipping the whole board over. It's about reclaiming your power by being authentic. And here's a truth that I want you to really let sink in. All of their tricks, the gaslighting, the manipulation, all of it, it just doesn't work on someone who is truly, authentically themselves. Think about it. An authentic person is like kryptonite to a narcissist because they can't be controlled. As Dr. Ramani says, when you're solid in who you are, you can just gracefully step away. You don't need to argue or defend yourself. You just leave. And that quiet confidence, that's not weakness. That's your superpower. So, I want to leave you with this one last thought. Their whole life is built on this terror of being truly seen. So what happens? What do you think happens when you take all that energy you spent trying to see them and you turn it back around on yourself? What happens when you decide to truly see yourself, to honor yourself, to finally trust yourself? That's where your freedom begins.
If this resonated, you aren't alone. Subscribe to join the space where we decode them together. I'll see you in the next one.